Hello, this is Dr. Schroeder with this week's video introduction to week number 3 of our course in Nursing Theory and Professional Nursing. And this week, fairly straightforward question discussing nursing theory. This is really the first week where we start talking about nursing theory. And so here for this week's question, we started with a fairly general and generic question about evaluating nursing theory and really kind of using that as a way to talk about the meat about what really nursing theory is about and why is it important, kind of following up with our discussion last week on this whole professional concept, this concept of nursing as a profession, and one of the things that makes it a profession is this theoretical framework. So what exactly is a theoretical framework, and how do we evaluate if a framework is a good framework or not so good framework? I'm still going through the discussions from this week. I've left some feedback throughout the week. But I think that everybody has a pretty good idea and a pretty clear idea about nursing theory, and particularly about the strengths of nursing theory, about why it's important. Nursing theory is important because it is part of our professional makeup. It is part of who we are as nurses. Nursing without theory is really just monkey see, monkey do. Anybody can learn how to program an IV. Anybody can learn how to start an IV. Anybody can learn how to do a dressing change. Anybody can learn how to enter vital signs into a computer. But understanding what all that data means, all the data that we collect, why is it important? How do we use it? How do we make decisions? That's really what theory is all about. I use the analogy in one of the threads. And when I in a classroom, when I'm describing nursing theory, and particularly when people are struggling with nursing theory and why is it important and why do I have to follow a theory? I know how to do nursing, so why does somebody have to have a theory that teaches me how to do it? And that's not really the idea. The idea of a theory is more, the analogy I use is like nursing theory is to nursing what a style of cooking is to a chef. And you can take two different chefs. One is an Italian chef, one is a Chinese chef. You give them the same ingredients of some meat, some fresh vegetables and some spices and all those different things that they would use in the kitchen, and you give it to them and they can come up with completely different creations. And it's because they're using a different framework. They're using a different methodology when they're in their cooking, and that's really what theory is all about. A nurse that is practicing theory using one of the systems theories, like Orem or Roy, is going to have a different theory than one of the more grand theories, like for example, Gene Watson, or one of the mid-range theories like Leaninger. There is doesn't mean that one theory is right, one theory is wrong, one theory is better than the other, one theory supersedes another. They all really work together. And all the nursing theorists, actually, I've had an opportunity to meet with some of these nursing theorists. And one of the things that has really surprised me is that not only is there not really any competition among them. In fact, there's a lot of collegiality. Alaf Melis is very, very interested in and very supportive, and actually helps Callista Roy with her research still to this day, currently. They've both been around for many years, and they're both very interested in each other's work and do research to support each other's work. And it's not because one is right, one is wrong. It's just that they each have come up with a different way of looking at nursing and of explaining the nursing phenomenon. Gene Watson has a dramatically different take on nursing and on the holistic perspective than, say, Dorothea Orem or on Virginia Henderson. Even though some of the terminology is the same, she goes much deeper into describing and explaining what is it that we nurses do that is truly nursing. When we talk about nursing care, what is care? And, it's one of those things, is like a lot of things, like, well, I know it when I see it. I know good care and I know bad care. How do you define it? It's not always so easy. And so that's what the theorists try to do, is try to define what that is. The same way that a sushi chef can say that this is good sushi and this is not good sushi. A critic can define it, a critic can see, and that's kind of why this evaluation part is important. How do we define good nursing theory? How do we define bad nursing theory? How does it relate to our actual everyday practice? And that was the focus of your reflections this week. So I'll be finishing up looking at your participation in class this week, be finishing up on some comments, and moving on to the following week, and also be looking at your first reflections that you submitted this week. Those are actually due tonight. I'm recording this on Sunday night, so your reflections aren't all in yet. I would imagine I will have them all looked at by the weekend. I can't promise I'm going to be able to look at them before Friday, at least your reflections. It takes me a little while to go through the reflections and leave some feedback on those. So, and there's quite a few of you in class, so look for those by the end of next weekend, by the end of the week, and possibly sooner, and feedback on your discussion questions probably by midweek or so. And so moving into week 3, you have a few things on your plate. One, I have posted assignments for the group project that you have this week. You're going to be doing a presentation on nursing theories that are assigned in the syllabus, or that are assigned in Blackboard. So you want to review and see which group you're assigned to. Don't worry if you saw, and if you printed off an earlier syllabus where it says that these presentations are due on Wednesday. The presentations are due on Sunday. You have all week to do these, so don't worry that you have to go through and, oh my gosh, have these things done like, middle of the week. That would be almost an impossible task at this point. But you want to be in contact with your fellow group members using the Teams discussion boards. I encourage that you do most of your communication through those discussion boards, of course, using the phone, using FaceTime, using WhatsApp or Google Hangouts or any of the other networking tools out there. Can be a really nifty and a really good way of getting together as a team and describing some of the things that you're talking about. And usually when I'm in a team doing these things, what I like to do is have a video conference with the team. And if I'm being a team coordinator, I'm usually the one that has got the PowerPoint open, and I have everybody just feeding me information, and I just type it into the PowerPoint. That's how we do a team PowerPoint. You don't have to do it that way. It is very acceptable for you to just go ahead and have everybody do individual slides. It's just that if you're doing a PowerPoint, sometimes that is the most expedient and really the best way to do it. It takes a lot of trust with your teamwork, with your team members. So hopefully I've got you working in teams where you have a fair amount of trust with the other individuals. If you have any issues or any problems, just send me an email and go ahead and let me know. But you want to go ahead and get moving quickly and come up with a timeline so that everybody knows exactly what their role is going to be and exactly what they're going to be doing for those presentations. If you have any questions about how to do a presentation, go ahead and please let me know. And you're going to be doing a discussion question, which is talking about your personal philosophy of nursing. And again, this kind of flows from this whole concept and discussion of nursing theory. Each of the nursing theories has identified definitions for the 4 meta-paradigms. They're called the meta-paradigms of nursing. These meta-paradigms were actually kind of an offshoot of Nightingale's original nursing theory, and it's basically a 4 meta-paradigms. They are nursing, person, health, environment. Each one of the nursing theorists defines those a little bit differently, and each nurse is, from a theoretical perspective, allowed to take those meta-paradigm concepts and define them for his or herself, using the established nursing theories as a basis for that, or a foundation for that. But everybody really develops their own personal philosophy, and this is where you're going to be talking about what is your personal philosophy. How do you define those terms for yourself? How do you define and how do you describe your holistic vision for nursing? I'll be sharing mine in the class as well. I think from an instructor perspective, I think that that's something that you would probably be interested to hear what my people like, what my philosophy is, or how I would word it. I'll be sharing that at some point during this week as well in the discussion. And I'd be interested to see how you share that as well, or how you identify it as well. It looks like I think that I've covered about everything that we're doing this week. You have your concept analysis paper is going to be due in week 4, so please be aware of that. Kind of have that on your radar screen. Be looking for that, and then you're also going to have your reflective journal, and reflective journal is going to be due again this week as well. So Once again, I look forward to participating in discussion groups with you and look forward to another great week of discussion. As you have any questions, please feel free to pass them along. I appreciate your positive comments. I've received several positive comments from you about how class is going so far. And so I hope we can kind of keep the esprit de corps up, the spirit up, and kind of keep things going. I like this topic, and I like the things we're talking about, and I like sharing with you. So I hope that you're finding some value in the class. I hope that things are going well, and I look forward to seeing you in discussion forums.